everyone. By now, most of you would have know me. But first, at the cost of repetition, let me introduce myself again. This is Bashir Khan, a manager career services, Fast University Lahore campus. As part of our webinar series today, we are having the fifth one. Let me introduce our distinguished guest for today's session, Mr. Momin Khushnood. Currently, he's serving as Manager Talent Acquisition and Diversity, Corporate HR Abacus Consulting. Let's welcome him. Momin Saab, over to you.
Thank you, Bashir Saab. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you guys can hear me clearly. It's an honor for me to start this webinar, and the topic for today's webinar is 2 tips to ace a job interview. We've planned this webinar to prepare all the students, particularly from graduating batches, on engaging with the job market. And it is very important for all of you to be aware of the fact that how companies are operating. Because what started as a small viral outbreak in Wuhan city of China has now engulfed the whole planet. All those who had any false hope of misconceived notion of containing this are now in shock. The COVID-19 outbreak is now a global event that is affecting every human being alive as of today. Pakistan is on the brink and there is a tight rope in front of a weak economy. It's very important for all the graduates who will be graduating this year and looking for jobs and applying everywhere. It's very important for you to know, to be aware of the current circumstances in Pakistan and where the economy is heading. Because the implication of the financial system from COVID-19 can be bifurcated into two broad areas. First is the international and external impact. Coronavirus has primarily disrupted the global value chain. It means that the movement of import and export has been disturbed. Exporters from Pakistan are unable to process their orders, and the payments from previous orders have also been halted in the most cases as business abroad, mostly in Europe and the US, have been shut down. So a lot of companies might already be working or they are encouraging work from home, but it is very important for you to know that the payments have been delayed because imports and exports have been halted, and a lot of companies who which business operations were linked with countries abroad. So because they have come to a halt, that is why the companies have come to a halt. Movement of goods and cargo is also blocked, making it extremely difficult to maintain the flow of business. Conversely, imports cannot be completed as lockdown have shut down every major city in the world. People are not coming to offices and governments have ordered to work from home. And this model can work for IT and service-based companies, but trade involves tangible good which cannot be handled without human presence. Because Abacus Consulting is an IT company, and this is very much feasible for us to work from home and to provide IT services from home. But if you talk about tangible goods or movement of tangible goods other than IT and service sector, that is a little difficult if you're planning to apply somewhere else. So there are a huge number of private companies in Pakistan that heavily rely on ports for running successfully. Commercial importers will suffer from delay or complete stoppage of the value chain, while industrial importers will have to stop production because of non-availability of raw material. After the initial grace period, the shortfalls in revenue will result in salary cuts and finally the job losses. So the bitter truth definitely is that people are finding it very hard to find the jobs. But we are conducting this webinar in order to make sure, in order to train all the recent graduates as to how they can make themselves ready for the COVID-19 situation and how they can ace in a job interview if given an opportunity. Around 2.4 of the annual GDP will be lost due to COVID-19, which is enough to send the country into a spiraling recession. So let's prepare you guys for what is next at the moment. And I'd like to share the current working standards at Abacus Consulting. And mostly I'm in touch with a couple of colleagues otherwise as well. And the current situation is that all of them are working from home. All the companies who were paying rents or who've been managing like a full-time working facility be it the generators, be it the electricity bills, be it different expenses for supplies and everything. So that has been changed into availability of a work from home situation. And Zoom, as you all know, or Google, is now become a household name for everyone. And companies are saving on to all the operational expenses, and otherwise they're providing internet devices or SIMs to stay in touch with the employees, and they have shifted the expenses to other means by providing internet devices to the employees so that they can work from home perfectly without any disruption. And of course, everyone is encouraging to take preventive measures, but this is only, like I said, that, like I iterated, that this is only possible for the ones who can actually work from home, or the work is not really confined to an to a boundary outside their house. But what about sales? It is very difficult to go out in the market. Markets are not open, and it's very difficult to make the sale, to sell the product to the clients. And because you have to take care of a lot of preventive measures, you have to take care of a lot of uh, uh, the measures and strictness by the government. So that is definitely a problem for the companies to actually make further sales, and they're only relying on the key accounts that they already have, and they do not have to make sales. They're already providing service, but then they're actually struggling uh, with the recoveries of the payments. So this is the current working standards and the current situation at in regular working environment. I can always encourage questions, but I would appreciate if all of you can leave a message before asking a question. And I hope so far, because I haven't heard anyone of you so far now, so I hope the voice is clear. And Bashir Saab, if I'd like to request you, if there's any kind of disruption, so you can interrupt me there and then, or leave a message on WhatsApp or a text message.
Yeah, sure. I'll definitely do that. Thank you.
Now we're going to discuss what exactly an interview is all about. So, an interview is a form of oral interaction in which one or more than one person asks questions to the applicant about his qualification, experience, and background. But most importantly, it is very important for the HR, for the recruiters, for the talent acquisition personnel to ensure that the personal goals of a candidate are aligned with the professional goals. So this is very important, and this is the main objective of an interview, where you have to align the goals of an individual, of a candidate who appears for an interview, through probing questions and through probing about their qualifications, through experiences, getting to know them about their background, what they've been up to, past experiences, and everything. So there are a few kinds of interviews that take place. One is a telephonic interview that is conducted over a telephone. One is a screening interview that takes place. It can be telephonic, or it can also be you can be called upon, or you can be shared a questionnaire as to how to go about this. And another one is a panel interview. Panel interview is about where there are three interviewers, or maybe minimum of two interviewers who interviews a candidate. So initially there's an HR personnel, and then there's one person from the department, and then there's like a department head, or like a CEO or CFO of the company. So there is a possibility that you are invited for three different interviews, or there is a possibility you're invited for an interview with the HR department. HR person will ask their questions, and the respective department head will ask their questions with the technical interviews. HR interview or the screening interview is mostly about what your background is all about, how your profile is relevant to the current job description, and most importantly, aligning your personal goals with the professional goals or the goals of the company. However, the technical interview, which is conducted by the head of the department, is more about how your work experience is relevant to the kind of person that they're looking for, their projects or current work at hand. So it can be two or three different kinds of interviews, and another interview is like a group interview or a group discussion. Group interview or a group discussion can be like a number of interviewees who are invited for an interview, and they're engaged into a group discussion, and they're asked different questions, or it can be like a case study. It can be like a presentation where they made groups and asked to present in a group discussion, and that's one kind of an interview. Another one is a competency-based interview, which I personally, I professionally deal in. Competencies for every job description, competencies are aligned, and against those competencies, the questions are asked. Any kind of question that is asked to you during an interview is against a competency which is related to a particular job description, and every competency is linked, and that is how questions are formed, questions are based. So it is very, very, very important for you to know which particular position are you applying. Make sure that you read the job description, like the job ad, completely and fully before you appear for an interview. And because during a job ad, the recruiters specify what exactly are they looking forward to, and they lay out the competencies, they lay out the skill set. And if you are aware of the skill set, aware of the competencies that has already been outlined in the job ad, you can prepare yourself prior to preparing for an interview. Then there's situational interview, that you're given a situation and you're asked to like initially, I'm sure a lot of you must have heard about this example, that for a sales interview you're asked to sell a pen, that a interviewer actually hands over a pen to the candidate and they ask them to sell it. So they just want to put them into a situation. Or if you're asked about getting a new opportunity, or if you're asked about a client meeting or a mock meeting, so that is more of a situation that you put in, and they want to know that once you are if you're shortlisted, so how will you appear in that situation, and how well will you perform in that situation, and what kind of questions will you be asking, how will you handle the situation, and what will that be. So always prepare yourself for different situations. For fresh graduates, it's very important for all of you to research different all these kinds of interview, what kind of questions will be asked, to make yourself prepared. Because considering the COVID-19 situation at hand, it is very important for each and every one of you to stay relevant. It is very, very, very imperative to not miss out an opportunity and help Pakistan survive this economic breakdown. Another kind of interview is a role play, where either you're given a situation where you're asked to play a role of a tough boss, or a tough client, or a tough employee, or you're given a role to play, and you're explained the situation earlier, and you're asked to play a role for that. And lastly, another kind of an interview is a case study interview, where you're given a case study which is very related to the kind of job opportunity that you've applied for, and the case study is an application to the practical experience. And you've been asked a certain question, you can be asked to prepare a presentation based on the case study, and there's certain questions that you're supposed to answer, and that definitely tells the recruiter or the head of the department or the interviewer what your capabilities are and how relevant you are with that position. So we move on to the next slide, and actually your task is to show the employer that you are the person for the job. But do you really want to be here? Ask yourself first, like which companies, each one of you, I'm sure that each one of you have like a dream job, and each one of you have really wants to go to a particular company, and they must have had like a particular name in their mind. A lot of FMCGs come to your mind, big software houses, big consulting firms, and MNCs, multinational companies. So always make yourself prepared, make yourself uh, relevant to the kind of job that you're applying to. And most importantly, ask yourself before going for an interview, like, is this the company you'd like to join? Make sure that you research about their culture, make sure you research about what they've been recently doing, what kind of client they've been dealing with, what projects they've bid recently. And all those questions are really important to ask yourself first before you prepare yourself for an interview and you prepare for an interview. Don't go for an interview just for the sake of it. Uh, if you're not happy working for a company, if you're not happy doing a job, I don't think so there's a point of working there. Also, I'm sure a lot of you must have been uh, uh, aligned with a certain degree, like a bachelor's in a marketing degree or an HR degree or something. But is this the field that you really wanted to do, or just like your friends were doing this, you ended up with this degree, or there was no other choice, or your parents insisted you? But it's really important for you to identify that is this something that you really want to do in life? Because I'll give you my example. I'm MBA marketing from Lahore School of Economics. I did my bachelor's degree in marketing and media studies from Lahore School of Economics. And after studying 6 years in marketing, I never got a job in marketing, and I realized that I was perfect for HR and not for marketing. So I realized a bit later, I realized a little ahead of time, after fighting tooth and nail and after struggling with different kind of opportunities and different kind of work environments. But it was only a certain an HR internship. It was an HR internship and HR opportunity by Habib Bank Limited, where I was introduced to HR and competency-based interviews, and I was trained on talent acquisition, where I realized that this is exactly what I want to do. So make sure that this is the right time, because you guys have enough time to prepare yourself. You guys are staying home, and I hope that you guys are safe, and this is the time to research, ask yourself, spend a lot of me time, do a lot of self evaluation, and ask yourself where exactly do you want to be, and then start applying to certain positions and start applying to different kinds of roles that you see. Don't apply to every role, but I'd like to tell you that make yourself that you prepare and make sure that you're relevant. And inshallah, 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 if you know where you want to be, you will be you'll be able to succeed really well. Like you'll succeed with flying colors. It's all about sales. It's all about selling yourself. When you visit a clothing store, and you go there and you can just see how the shopkeeper is trying to sell you those clothes. Or if you go to a mobile shop, if you go to a laptop shop, and how many efforts do they make to tell you about the features, to tell you about the specifications, to tell you about each and everything uh, about that product. But I'd like to tell you that it is very similar to who you are. You are a product for you. A candidate is more of a product for the company because they'd like to have your services for a set role. And it is very important that you specify each and every feature of yourself, of your profile, and sell yourself properly with regards to how relevant your working experience is, with regards to how relevant your current education is, and what skills do you have. And this is the best time if you think that you can have certain tutorials on Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, and this is the time to learn. All of you are, I'm sure, spending a lot of time binge watching Netflix and movies and seasons, but I guess this is the time to prepare yourself for future. Where you have ample time, you can have online tutorials on Excel, on Microsoft Word, and even I got a lot of chance to work on to different skills which I never got a chance to work on because I didn't have enough time. And as soon as inshallah, inshallah, all of us are praying that this situation comes to the lockdown comes to an end, and the situation uh, somehow smoothens, and somehow I mean it turns out to be for our betterment, and COVID disappears. But this the time that we have, we need to make the best use of it. It's very important for you to start learning those skills. If you think if you're a marketing resource, try to learn a Photoshop skill, because Photoshop is very important for all the marketing material that's made. And if you think that you need to read a book, if you think you need to read articles, or in order to prepare yourself for future, you surely need to. And that's really important because otherwise none of us get enough time to work on these skills. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. For good 4 5 years I was trying to work on HR matrices, and I never got a chance to because it was like a very lengthy process and it was a lot of data oriented, and I was trying to look for like an easy way out sometime. and I was struggling with it. But only this time I found a few tutorials over Google, and I was able to perform it. So make yourself prepare for future jobs, inshallah, that all of you are going to land into, and make sure that you are able to write those skills that you've recently learned on your profile, um, on your resume, and make sure that you list down everything. So it is going to be very important for any job that you apply for, and this will help you sell yourself, help you make the recruiters understand how much your profile is relevant to that of uh, the kind of role that they're looking for. So, like I said, it's all about sales. So keep selling yourself and tell them how good you are at a particular skill, a particular tool. If you are guys a computer science graduate, because FAST is usually known for computer science graduates. So if you think that you need to ace your skill on .NET or a C Sharp or anything, try inventing few applications if you're a computer science graduate. If you just like a dream application that you wanted to work on, if you are planning to work on, so why not now? This is the time to work on, and it would be a great initiative and also a great thing for your profiles. So we're going to explain the process of the interview and the opening of like how all of this starts. So it starts with like an interview starts with an opening thing where it was more of an ice breaking session, and the ice breaking session is all about uh, how well do you like break the ice, introduce yourself, tell them about your educational background, tell them about where you've studied from, what your working experience is. The body is all about how relevant your profile is with the current role that you've applied for. And the conclusion is about the salary negotiations, the work discussions, if you're shortlisted, not shortlisted, or how soon can you join, or if you have any questions regarding the company. So this is like the entire channel for the interview process that takes place. Uh, we move on to the next step. There are a few things that, most importantly, that we really, really, really need to work on. Primarily, first impression is the last impression, and where you need to make sure that you're dressed up really well and as per the role that you've applied for. Because if you talk about any role, it is not really important that a company's culture is about wearing jeans and you can wear a jean to the interview, but it is all about that particular moment, that particular day that you need to dress up really nicely. And most importantly, your hair should be cleaned and combed. Make sure to take a shower. Make sure to use a perfume, like a really nice deo, like a really nice perfume, and make sure that you take a shower on that particular day, like before you head for the interview, and make sure your hair are completely combed. None of the hair should fall on your face. Make sure you apply some gel or some wax before you go for an interview. Second most important thing is always wear a suit. No matter whatever the position is, if, even if you're preparing for a software engineering position, uh, and if you're preparing for an HR position or a marketing position or a finance position, whatever the position is, make sure that you wear a suit. If you think it's too hot outside, just keep a blazer in your car, and you can just take the like wear the blazer during the interview because it's always centrally air conditioned, and then you can take the blazer off when you go back to your car. So, but it will definitely, definitely tells the recruiter that you have done some kind of preparation, some kind of work on yourself before preparing for an interview. So always wear a suit. The third and most important thing is that your straps should match. By straps, I mean that if you're wearing a brown belt, you should be wearing brown shoes. If you're wearing a black belt, you should be wearing black shoes. And this is a very general grooming tip, and it is a fashion disaster if your straps don't match. So make sure that your straps should match. And this also tells a little bit about the candidate, if they're doing like how well they prepared, and also if they had this basic common sense or not. The fourth thing is that you should wear a watch. I'm not really fond of wearing a watch. I'll tell you a little bit about it, but I'm not really fond of wearing a watch. However, also with the evolvement of the mobile phones, all of us like check the time through our mobile phones. But wear a watch. It gives an impression of how uh, punctual you are, and it gives an impression that you are very time oriented. And one should really wear a watch. I don't usually wear a watch, but for certain meetings, for certain important meetings, for certain when I was preparing myself for an interview, I was absolutely told to wear a watch, and that's something that you should do. And if you're wearing like a leather watch, so make sure that it has a black strap or a brown strap as per your belt and as per your shoes that you're planning to match. Fifth point is perfume. That please make sure that you wear a very nice perfume. It shouldn't be too strong to offend the interviewer, and make sure that you smile. You should have like a very fresh aura of yourself that you right out of your shower. You're confident. You smile, and do not have that weak, confused look on your face. Make sure that you always have a smile, and you come really, really, really fresh. Make sure that you take a complete nap before coming for an interview. You're not stressed out. You're not sleepless or sleep deficit, and make sure that this is how you prepare. Just try these tips. These are a few grooming tips that if you're working somewhere, try these grooming tips for meeting a client, and just look for yourself how well you pair. And if you're considering for a COVID situation right now, because mostly the interviews have switched to Zoom or Skype or online, so you need to make sure that you're well dressed and you're very much willing to appear for a video call, for a video interview, rather than an audio interview. So I could have also appeared for a video interview, but we have to share this presentation side by side that I'm changing it. But make sure that you're available for a video interview. Make sure that you are well dressed. And a lot of interviews that I've recently taken, I find out that candidates are straight out of their bed and preparing for an online interview, and their voice mumbles, and maybe the voice is not clear. Just like when you wake up and your voice is not too clear, you need to gargle or do something about it. But make sure that you're fresh enough for an interview, be it a Zoom interview, a video interview, or if it's an in-person interview. So that leaves a very, very, very good impression that how interested you are in that particular job. These things, these small little things that all of us might be doing already, but if we put in an extra effort, definitely leaves an impression that you're very much interested in the job and you have prepared yourself fully. And also, because a lot of people don't do this in Pakistan, we do not really have a trend uh, of grooming, I would say. So this helps you stand out. Make sure that you follow these steps before you prepare for an interview. You should always now. Initially, the more that was more of a like the first step of the interview, where you were a grooming was the grooming aspect was involved. However, now we're going to move on how to what you need to prepare or be aware for the interview. So you should always know the name of the interviewer. You should know once you prepare for the interview. You should know when you go to the reception. You should know who you're supposed to meet. If you receive a call, ask them what is the name of the interviewer. Google them. LinkedIn के ऊपर उनको search करें, उनका नाम देखें, उनको LinkedIn पे search करें और उनकी profile को देखें. And you should know what the person is all about when you're trying to conduct who's going to conduct your interview. And this helps you prepare yourself somehow that where the person belongs to, and if he is from the same university, if he's an alumni fast, or if he's from the same college or same university or same school that you've been to. So maybe there's some kind of connection that both of you can find, and there is a chance for you to initiate a conversation during the interview regarding your school, university, or a certain sport that you guys might be interested in. So another ice-breaking session could be possible. and if you know the interviewer name, and it also helps you uh, find out the person. You do not have to wait at the reception. A number of times, candidates are not even aware of who they're supposed to meet, and that is why they keep waiting at the reception. Meanwhile, when the reception area is trying to figure out who the person is here to meet. So it's a very important thing that you should know the name of the interviewer. Don't be know-it-all. Always show your willingness to learn. When you're giving the interview, don't tell them that you know everything. Like if they ask you something, don't just make an attempt of answering that question just for the sake of answering that question. Make sure that you I mean, if you don't know, but ask them that you're willing to learn, you would like to know more about the product. If they ask you about a certain thing about the product of the company, you should know. You should have rehearsed home about the company or from the website of the company by knowing what the company does, when was it formed, what was the history of the company, what are the products that they're dealing in, and so that you are aware of which particular company that you're applying into. So you can tell them that you're aware of the products, but if you do not understand what the product is all about, you can ask them about it. And this shows that you're a learner and you'd like to learn more, and you're not one of those who know it all. So also during the interview, never backbite your current employer. If you're working somewhere, or even if you're a graduate, and if they ask you about your thesis or research, never backbite your instructor or your ex-employer. No matter how worst your experience has been, how bad your experience has been, but never ever backbite your current employer that having problems in a certain company, or they don't pay well, they don't pay on time, or you're facing problems. I mean, communicating with your boss. Never ever ever say this to them. This leaves a very bad impression, and this also tells us a little bit about if you leave the company, if you have a problem in the same company that you're applying to, so what kind of behavior you will have. So I think so. One should always opt for a better opportunity and never backbite. If things are not going well in your current company, you can always switch as soon as you get an opportunity. But I don't think so. It's a good way to backbite the current employer. Always look into the eye. It makes you feel confident, makes you feel that you prepared. And if you look into the eye of the interviewer, this will help you ace the interview, and this will help you. I mean, present yourself in a very confident manner. And then again, let be the first person to discuss the salary. Do not ask them for salary. I mean, what is the budget for this salary? What do you what's the budget for the salary? What do you plan to do? And never ever look for this. Always ask them. Let them be the first person to ask you about your salary. Ask them about what you're currently drawing in the current company, and you can take the conversation from there. But a couple of candidates that we get to experience during the from the phone calls when we call them up for a interview, and they ask us what's the salary package for this. So never ever do that. There's no harm in preparing for an interview, and always get to learn about the opportunity first. This tells us a little bit about how much you're interested in the kind of job that you're being offered to rather than the salary. Everyone has their own expenses to manage, a separate budget to look after too. But we can never be the first person to discuss the salary. Like I said, you need to conduct like an in-depth research about the company and the job role. It's very important. Make sure that you visit the website. Everyone spends time on Facebook. Everyone spends time on Instagram. And but what you can do is you can just spend like 5 minutes of your time, go onto the website, get to know what the company is all about, since when was they formed, what is the name of the CEO, what's the mission, vision, values of the company. So this will help you stay aligned with the kind of job opportunity that you're applying for, and you will be able to relate yourself to a particular company. You know what is the exact reason for a lot of job hopping, for shifting a lot of jobs, or a lot of us not being successful in the jobs that we are currently doing. This is one of the reasons that we do not do in-depth research about the company, what the services are all about, and what we're dealing in. And that is how we're not able to relate with the product, with the company that we are applying to or preparing for an interview. So this can help you. And also, there's certain companies that you would never want to be a part of, and you can skip. You can very courteously and very carefully, you can just deny the offer of not preparing for an interview. And you can always do that if you think that the company is just not your cup of tea and you shouldn't be preparing for them. Again, review and practice common questions and their responses. We are going to discuss a bit of regular questions, frequently asked questions in the interview, and I'll tell you what are the answers to those questions, what are the suitable or favorable answers to those questions. We will discuss that in the next slide. But make sure that you review and practice common questions. Make sure that you are ready for like you when you prepare for an interview. The first question is obviously it's going to be about tell me about yourself, walk me through your profile. So make sure that you prepare yourself that where you studied from, what has been your majors, and I'll give you like a very brief example also in the next slide as to how to go about this. Always bring a resume with you. Don't ever think that the company might take a printout of the resume. They will eventually. They will, and big companies do, and they should be doing it. I do that too. But when you bring a resume, when you bring a printed copy of the resume, it tells us a little bit about how much interested you are and how much prepared you are. Because a lot of time, I'd like to tell you what the companies are looking after is the behavior and the interest in how relevant the profile is for that particular job. Rather than they can make you learn, they can make you uh, they can make you learn, they can make you I mean learn a particular skill set because all of you are fresh graduates and you guys can apply to MTO programs and management trainee programs as well. You do a lot of on-job trainings and you get to learn. But actually, behavior is something that they will never make you learn. Behavior is something that they expect you to be prepared with. And this shows a lot of your behavior when I talk about how well dressed you are, and when I talk about how much research that you do, and how much informed decisions that you make after doing research of the company, after doing research of the job description. So this tells a lot about you and your behavior and what kind of person you are. So always bring a resume, dress formally, arrive before time, make sure that you're there 5 minutes before time and not more than 5 minutes. Make sure that you're there before time so that there's enough cushion for the interviewer to be informed by the reception. And this also leaves a good impression of being punctual. That what you can do. Also, speak in the language that you're spoken to and make an excellent impression. Like speak in the language. If you speak in English, if you're being asked a question in English, just speak in English. If you're asked a question in Urdu, speak in Urdu. But try to converse in English. English is a global language. I am very proud of my language, my local language, which is Urdu. I'm very good, alhamdulillah. मेरी उर्दू बहुत अच्छी है, लेकिन एक बेसिक एटिकेट्स होते हैं. बेसिक एटिकेट्स ये होते हैं कि अगर आपसे अंग्रेजी में बात की जा रही है आप अंग्रेजी में बात कीजिए, अगर आपसे उर्दू में बात की जा रही है आप उर्दू में बात कीजिए, and do not make the other person feel uncomfortable about it. But also, there are certain because when we talk about big companies, we talk about companies who are dealing with clients all over the world. So they expect you to speak English. They expect you to speak in English. They want to see how your communication, how effective your communication skills are. They want to see, they can absolutely judge what kind of communication will be over the emails, over the letters, over the mails when you converse in English. So they can foresee that. So always start the conversation in English. When they ask you, tell me a little bit about yourself. Make sure that you prepare yourself in English, that what you're currently dealing with. Um, Bashir sir, can you hear me? I hope that there's no voice. I hope that my voice is clear enough.
Yeah, there was a bit of breakage a little while ago, and it is happening like intermittently. So I think it's probably internet issue. But you may keep you may carry on, please.
Okay, but if there's something that you guys have missed, the slides are in front of you. If there's any part that you'd like to ask question, you can park your questions with yourself, and we can ask you to question as soon as the question answer session starts. So I was telling you about like speaking the language that you're spoken to, and because if we talk about Abacus Consulting, we have clients all over the globe, and we have presence in 10 different countries, and we have project presence in more than 24, 25 countries. So the person that we're hiring, and if they're not good in communication, if they're not good with the grammar, and if they're not good with the conversation, so I don't think so. That becomes like a bit of a changing like this decision making thing for us. So what you guys can do is speaking the language that you've spoken to, but start telling them in English about yourself. And if you think that your English is not too good, if you think that you don't speak fluently, what you guys can do is that you guys can prepare yourself with regards to the questions and start preparing yourself, start learning those questions because anywhere that you prepare for an interview, they're definitely going to ask you what tell me about yourself, what tell me about your educational background. Just make sure that you prepare it. Like I'll give you a little bit of an example that I did my O levels and A level from SciCas, so now with the International Campus for Advanced Study, and I did my bachelor's honors degree program in marketing and media studies from the Lahore School of Economics, followed by an MBA program from Lahore School of Economics in marketing. So this is something that I am supposed to tell during an interview. So why don't you guys prepare yourself? Why don't you guys write these things down on a piece of paper and make yourself prepared with this language and make yourself familiar with these questions. So this is really important. This will help you speed up the interview, help you avoid certain confusing questions that you're asked, or uncomfortable questions if you're asked if you do or someone judging your language or command on your language. Be authentic, be who you are. Do not try to be someone else. Someone tried. If you're not geeky, if you're not like a pro or a particular kind of a person, don't be that person. Always stay confident, be precise. Do not like over exaggerate things. Just be very to the point on what you've been doing. Save your time, save the other person's time, and make sure only if you're asked to further elaborate, then elaborate. But I think so that you can always prepare yourself and how to become precise and brief with regards to the current role that you're into, your education, or about yourself. Your body language should be like really uptight with regards to like you should sit properly, you should be slouching, or you shouldn't be, or there shouldn't be like a lot of hand movement, and you should sit properly. You shouldn't be putting it like a leg on a leg. But again, body language shouldn't be uptight. It should be confident, but not overconfident. And it should be like a very nice posture. You should have like a very good posture in which you sit. And make sure that you're not too comfortable in the couch or the seat that you're given, that you've been asked to give interview. Or if you're nervous, if you're confused, make sure that your body language doesn't show that. You shouldn't be nervous. You shouldn't be confused. It's not the end of the world. But I think it's really important for you to have like a perfect body language. Ask insightful questions. Ask them. Make sure that you prepare a few questions. If they're not answered during the interview, you can ask them about it, about the company, about their products, about themselves. So you can always ask them about it. And even if you do not have clear understanding about the role, you can ask them. If you want to know about the culture, females especially, I know a lot of female candidates who've been asking me about the culture of Abacus Consulting, of the environment of Abacus Consulting. So anything that you'd like to know, but insightful. It should be insightful enough. It should be a dumb question, but make sure that you ask insightful questions. Never, ever, ever defend yourself. Never say that you'd like to defend yourself onto anything. If you think that your company is not doing well, or if about your salary, about your current role, about your current description, make sure that you have like a smart answer to it. Never defend yourself. I hope that all of you understand what defending means. That you're trying to overcome that you try to get into an argument or in a discussion where you're trying to overcome that weakness, or the person thinks that there's a weakness and you're trying to overcome. So never defend yourself. Always have like a good reason for everything that you've been asked for, and never waffle. Waffling is about, making things up, making stories. Do not make stories. Be who you are, and I think that that's really, really, really important. And make sure that you ask very relevant questions. You do not mumble, and you do not make stories about yourself. Do not present a personality that you think is not you. So never waffle. Here are a few frequently asked questions. Every interview, regularly you asked about your strength, about your weaknesses. You should know strengths should be aligned with the job role that you're applying to, and they should always be aligned to the job role. If I'm a recruiter, if I'm applying for a recruiting position, so I should be about it should be about communication. It should be about probing. It should be about finding relevant profiles. So that should be my strength. And if you're applying for a marketing position, it should be about your communication. It should be about your relationship building. It should be about your interpersonal skills. So highlight those strengths. Prepare minimum three strengths before going for an interview. Prepare them at home, and you should do that. Never ever tell what your weaknesses are. Never tell your weak areas. Never highlight your weak areas, or try to just move on with the question and just tell them something which is not even related to the job profile. I'll tell you an answer that maybe I'm a rash driver, maybe like I'm not good at driving or something, but that something which is very irrelevant to the job role, so or has nothing to do with it. Sometimes candidates do get stuck when they highlight their weak areas and areas of improvement. They highlight them, and the relative interviewer thinks that he's not a right fit for the profile. So I think one should be prepared, and should be prepared with the kind of strength that they'll be explaining, and shouldn't ever be telling their weaknesses. Like I said, we've had like a good discussion on tell me about yourself, walk us through your resume, that you should prepare yourself. Always start in English as a language. Align your personal goal with the organizational goal. I've been highlighting this thing since the first slide. It's really important that you should know where you're heading to, and your personal goal should be aligned with your professional goals. Do you have any questions? Salary. Ask whenever they ask you about do you have any question, always have a question. Never say that I don't have any question. Like ask them about the environment, ask them about the culture, ask them about a particular product. You can only ask these questions if you have researched uh, during the if you have researched the company over from their website, from any other information. But you can never ask a question if you're not prepared. So make sure about it. You can do a salary negotiation. I'll tell you a little bit about your salary. Salary is considering the current situation. I think companies are already having like a lot, like a very bad time with regards to paying the salaries. But I guess one should be market competitive. Do not put yourself a little too down with regards to salaries, and always expect them to tell you what they're willing to offer rather than just straighten about you put down your salary expectations to them. So always ask them about it. Always let them ask you. Always let them share the bracket for the salary and what they're willing to pay rather than you straight ahead ask them about it. Always use numbers, most importantly, within the interview. Like during the interview, you can share the numbers like there was an increased or you achieved 6% growth in 2020 during your project time. So when you share numbers, when you share statistics, it's like a high chance of making the candidate, making the interviewer believe that you know what you've been doing and you've been great at it. So you've been very data analytic, and you've been doing well at your work. But never waffle, never make stories, never lie. Most importantly, never ever do that. The working industry is really, really, really small, and I'll tell you, candidates who appeared with me 5 years ago, someone will call me and ask me about them. I might have a comment for them as well. I'm sure I was just going through this. I was going through your the participants, and there were few names who were familiar, and there were few names who've already appeared at Abacus Consulting for a project during their HR project outlines, final project semester. So they have appeared, and I do remember their names, and they may have appeared like maybe a year ago, maybe 2 3 years ago, but somehow something clicks. It's a very small word, and make sure that you don't lie. And when someone is doing like a reference check, so they should have something good to say about you and not something bad to say about you. The next slide, like I have literally dedicated like one entire slide to this thing, which is never lie. All the companies do a reference check, and at Abacus Consulting, we do minimum three references to ex-employers, through instructors. If you're a fresh graduate, so we check with the instructors, and we'll be doing that. So never ever lie, never make up stories, and uh, be confident of who you are. And even if something has gone wrong in your life, try to isolate that for that point in time, for that part of the interview. Of course. That's pretty much about it. This is a little bit about Abacus Consulting. That we have offices in Lahore, Karachi, Islamabad, London, Dubai, and Riyadh. And here's the I should have put my email address. I would encourage that all of you, if you guys have any question, any question, you guys can get in touch with me over LinkedIn, and you guys can ask me questions. And if you'd like to discuss any future opportunity, you're more than welcome to ask me or get in touch with me. I won't mind that, because I'm in a field of talent acquisition where I've been answering questions, I've been guiding, and most importantly, I lacked guidance when I was applying for a job. So this is something very close to my heart. This is something very close to me, and I'd like to guide candidates. I'd like to guide students, people, and I would really want that this will help our economy grow. Most importantly, and this will help us definitely grow in our lives, professionally and personally. So that's pretty much it about today's session, and we will move on to the question answer session. If you have any question, you can just unmute your uh, mic and you can ask me questions. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask that can we ask them about our mistakes or the blunders that we have made during the interview, after the interview? Can we ask them?
Don't ask them like mistakes or blunders. Ask them for a feedback. I've been giving feedback. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. When candidates come to me, I've been in this field since a really long time. I graduated in 2012, and since then I've been into talent acquisition and diversity. So when candidates come to me, if there's something wrong in their resume, if there's something that they shouldn't be talking about, if there's something that they shouldn't be telling, or I mean, should avoid, I tell them. Otherwise, you can always drop them an email or ask them after the interview how the interview went. Because actually, usually the interviewers do not share the feedback right away. So you can always drop them an email. You can ask them for their email, or they must have contacted you through a certain email, so you can ask them for a feedback through that. But make sure that you have a very versed, well written email where you can ask them for a feedback. Okay, Hassan, I hope that this answers your question.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Any other question that we have? I'm just going through the chat session, and yeah, I think any other question that any of the students may have?
Please do share your email with us.
Sure. I'll write the email address in the chat section, and this is my official email address. And just in case you guys have any questions, you can contact me through LinkedIn or you can contact me through this email. I hope you can see the email address in the chat section. Okay, great. Anyone has any other question? Anything about the slides? If you think any other questions?
Come on, guys. Anyone else with a question?
Fatma, I just came across a question if Abacus is hiring fresh graduates for like computer science graduates with a computer science degree. Actually, the current hiring is on hold, but we have few positions that do come up. But stay tuned with the Abacus career portal. If you go to abacus-global.com career section, you can always see the new positions highlighted over there. You can apply there. And if you think that nothing at the moment, the few project-based positions that you're working on, but that's senior at a very senior level at the moment. But if you think that you can come across anything, you can sure. Bushra, definitely we are looking for an SQA position, but with relatively greater experience between 2 to 3 years or maybe 3 to 5 years. If you have that relevant experience, you can share. Not at the moment. We do not considering, like I said, actually the new onboardings or new positions have only been stopped because of this COVID-19 situation, because we'll be making sure that they work from home. And it's very difficult to create a new relationship with someone that you don't know already. So hiring new people and not being like providing them with laptops or internet devices and everything, so that's a little difficult for us. So, but we are hiring for certain projects. We're still hiring, but relatively senior people. You can stay tuned with the career portal and you can have a look.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we mention this while applying for the job? Can we mention that we can work from home, and will it highlight us, or can we stand out by saying that?
Actually, make sure that you read the job. If they require you to be present at work, you need to be present at work. If it will be part of the job description. If they do not want you to be at work and work from home, it will be written that it's freelancing, it's flexible timings, or working from home. So I think it's very important for you to ask them this question, but do not highlight this in your resume, because this might decrease your chances of being shortlisted for a certain position. This might.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Any other question?
Yeah, I do have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So can we apply for a job if we don't have the required experience? Like recently IBM's पे job आई हुई थी and उन्होंने like 2 to 3 years का experience मांगा हुआ था ERP के लिए, and क्योंकि हम fresh grad हैं तो हमारे पास experience है नहीं, तो is it okay हम apply कर सकते हैं कि ये negative आप पे impact जाता है?
You can definitely apply, even if your experience doesn't. If you think that if you're from the ERP field, you can apply for an ERP job, even if you do not have the relevant, if you do not have enough experience. I'll give you an example. There are a couple of students, a couple of candidates who applied for a different job, and I hired them for a different position. Because for a candidate, लोगों को ऐसे लगता है कि जो HR के जो लोग होते हैं, उनके वो लोग हायर नहीं करते, या वो लोग जो है सिर्फ रेफरेंस के ऊपर हायर करते हैं। लेकिन मैं आपको बताऊं, we are the ones who are always in need for good candidates. Like we're always in need for good candidates, and we encourage people to join us. And we see every resume that is sent on our email or applied through the portal or applied through LinkedIn. Whoever does that. I came to Fast last year, and we had a session. And over there, there were few people, a few students from Fast. I think, if I'm not mistaken, his name is Roshan, and Roshan applied for a position, and he was hired automatically for the internship. So make sure you do apply, but it is very important that you're the relevant candidate for that position. अगर आप देखो HR का बंदा है वो मार्केटिंग के लिए अप्लाई कर रहा है, या मार्केटिंग का बंदा है वो कंप्यूटर साइंस के लिए अप्लाई कर रहा है, तो वो चीज़ irrelevant हो जाता है.
Yeah.
I hope this answers your question, Sumbul.
Yeah, it does. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so Abiha Aftab says, how long can we take normally to think and reply to a job offer? A week or more. Actually, all the job offers have a specific duration written at the on their job offers, because I'll tell you about Abacus Consulting. They have 3 days. Like, we give minimum, like maximum 3 days to the candidate, and after 3 days, it will be null and void. The offer will be null and void, because positions are really urgent, or you're always in need for the candidates, and you're always in need for people to join, because we have projects on board and we want them to join us as early as possible. So I don't think so. One should be prepared कि यहाँ से मुझे job offer आनी है, और जो salary है या जो कुछ भी है, make sure कि आप पहले से identify करके रखेंगे आपने किससे discuss करना है और कब आपने उसको reply करना है. So make sure that you apply maximum in a day. Don't take too long, because there are so many candidates who prepare for an interview. Recruiters को ऐसे लगता है कि शायद आप इंटरेस्टेड नहीं है, या आपके पास कोई और जॉब ऑफर है, तो वो क्या करेंगे कि वो किसी और को जॉब ऑफर कर देंगे. So apply within, like, reply maximum within a day time. A week is too much, Abiha. It is too much. Okay. I hope this answers your question. Shehzadi Javeria, sir, in introducing ourselves, do we just have to go with our educational and professional background, or should we also have to mention our capabilities, strengths, and skills? You can start with the education. You can start with from where did you complete your metric, O levels, A levels, FA, FSC, bachelor's or master's, or your working experience. Like, you can start with this. और आगे जो capabilities या strengths जो हैं वो आपसे खुद पूछी जाएगी. I'm sure that you'll be asked this question, or the person will ask this question. Otherwise, what happens is, like, if they don't ask you any question, and if you think at the end of the interview you've been not enough, you're not being asked enough questions, you can tell them that how relevant you are to this profile. Or even initially, like, अगर आपको कोई interrupt नहीं कर रहा, अगर आपको कोई रोक कर नहीं कह रहा कि कोई और सवाल नहीं पूछा जाता जब आप अपना इंट्रो बता रहे हैं, तो उस वक्त भी आप you can continue telling them about your capabilities, your strength, and make sure to tell them like how relevant your profile is. Like, I'm writing this down for everyone, how relevant your profile is with the current job role. आप वो relevance उनको दिखा देते हैं ना जब, तो it's like 99% chances of you being shortlisted for that position. आप उसको जॉब एड को पढ़ें, उसको देखें, उसके अंदर लिखा हुआ है कि आपको इंटरव्यू, जैसे अगर एक मार्केटिंग की पोजीशन है, तो वो कहते हैं कि मार्केटिंग के लिए सेल्स का बंदा होना जरूरी है. सेल्स को रिसर्च करके जाएं, प्रोसेस को रिसर्च करके जाएं, और वो प्रोसेस एक्सप्लेन करना शुरू कर दें अपने इंटरव्यू में. उनको लगेगा कि आपको ऑलरेडी ये चीज़ें पहले से आती हैं, and that will increase your chances being shortlisted for that interview. I hope, Javeria, this answers your question. We'll move on to Zaryab. Zaryab Riaz, is it a good idea to send resume? If a company is not hiring, or is it negative point? No, it's always a good idea. I'll tell you, even when we're talking about big companies, when you talk about big companies, the companies जिनके ना processes automated हैं, उनके recruitment portals already बने हुए हैं. तो उसके ऊपर जो पोजीशंस आ रही होती है ना, उसमें एक अदर ऑप्शन भी होती है टू मेक योर प्रोफाइल, ठीक है। सो यू गॉट टू मेक योर प्रोफाइल। और इसी तरह ही होता है कि आई डू नॉट ओनली रिलाई ऑन अ जॉब एड, कि मैंने जॉब एड लगाया है, मेरे पास रेज्यूमे आएंगी, फिर मैं उसमें से शॉर्टलिस्ट करूंगा। ऐसे नहीं होता ज़रिया। मेरे पास जो पोर्टल है, मैं उसके अंदर भी फिल्टर्स होते हैं। मैं उसे फिल्टर लगाऊंगा मार्केटिंग का, डिजिटल मार्केटिंग का, रिक्रूटमेंट का, और उसके बाद उसके अंदर जो रेज्यूमेज आएंगी, फिर मैं उससे भी शॉर्टलिस्ट कर सकता हूँ। और जब भी आएगी, फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ यू अप्लाई in Feb, or there is a possibility of you receiving a call in May or June, and that's what big companies are doing already. I hope this answers your questions, Riyad. Okay, great. So do we have any more questions? If someone is not comfortable asking it over a voice audio message, so you can always write it down, just like rest of the candidates have been. I think that's it. Bashir Saab, what's your take on this?
Guys, do we have anyone else to ask the question? If we are done, we will then go for the conclusion. Are we done? Any more questions? No. Thank you so very much, sir. Momin saab, bahut shukriya. It's been really a great session, and we are thankful for you taking time out and having with us.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Bashir Saab, for inviting me for this webinar. And it is absolutely a great experience, especially for me. For me, it is more of a self-actualization session. Just like I was explaining in my webinar initially, that I didn't have that prior guidance. And the students are very lucky that universities like FAST and the career counseling people like from FAST, they're arranging certain session and they're helping them out to prepare themselves for the interviews, for the job market and everything. So I wish each one of you all the best for your degrees. If you are guys are graduating or if you're applying for anything, I'm always available on LinkedIn or on email. And if you guys would like to connect with me or ask me any question with regards to resume writing or interview skills or any opportunity, just like there was, if you were asking me about if you have an offer, even if you'd like to ask me about an offer, so we can discuss that too, and would be very happy to help you out. So thank you each one of you for attending this session, and I wish you all the best. Please stay safe, and I wish you like a very healthy, happy Ramazan, and inshallah, very happy Eid inshallah as well.
Thank you, Momin saab. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take good care. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.